airwaves ignite for the chosen few. He's got the voice, the spirit, and the fire. Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, taking us higher. He built a palace of cryptids in this lonely space. True Cryptid Encounters, volumes 1 and 2. Coming from the darkness, tell your own tale. He's starting the job out past the setting sun. He's Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, until the work is done. It's a Bigfoot pirate rock and roll show. On the airwaves, watch the legend grow. Come join the beyond and hear the wild scream. Yeah! Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, time to open up your mind. Get ready to rock and roll. Yeah.
And there you have it, mateys. Welcome to the show. That's right, Bigfoot, Mr. Rob, and beyond. Welcome to the Pirates. Welcome to everybody that perhaps you're not a pirate. We'll get into that in a minute. Thanks to everybody for coming on in. It's Thursday. I don't have Krista. Krista, you know what? She has no internet. Here in the United States, as y'all know, we are going through a deep freeze, and I'm surprised I frankly have my power because, as I've told you guys many times, when it gets extremely cold, I still have the wires above ground. And when it gets this cold, it's right now where I live 9 degrees, not below, but 9 degrees. And when that happens, everything goes wonky. The internet, you lose power. Thankfully, I have not. So Krista's suffering without internet. I'm sure she doesn't have anything. She can't even watch TV. She's got her phone, which is running out of juice. So yeah, good luck to Krista. Thanks to each and every single one of you for coming in again. We have a great show. We're going to Australia. Yes, we are. My friend Sarah Bignell. Bignell. I'll have to have her correct me, just like Brian Bowden. I don't know. You know how that goes. She is from Australia, and she is the creator of Yowie Central, a podcast in Australia. It's very popular. We're going to get into some of her findings, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's really going on down under with these things that they call Yowie. And as we in the States call Bigfoot or Sasquatch. So can't wait for this show. Don't forget to hit that like button, everybody. Leave a comment after the show. It does help promote, the show, the algorithm. Also, don't forget, the Super Chat is open. A great way to help support what we do around here. Also, mateys, you can become BMR Pirates. Join the many, join the few. Depending on your point of view, you know what you get. Well, you get a good old picture of BMR sporting a bandana next to your name in the chat room. That's what you get. You do. Thank you so much for that. Don't forget, if you're new, to subscribe to Bigfoot Mr. Rob on YouTube. The Blondes and the Booze. Monica's Our Paranormal World. Donnie Cho Says Stuff. And Paranormal Paul. That's right. Hit the like button. Enjoy the show. Super chats are open. Thanks to every single one of you. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. However, I do want to say something briefly. Thank you to everybody who bought my books. Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1, Book 2, both found on Amazon. Simply type Bigfoot Mr. Rob in your Amazon browser. They'll pull up. And for those of you that bought it, do me a favor. Please leave a review. It's all algorithms. It will push book sales for myself. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for that. With that said, I'm going to bring up my lovely buddy from down under, Sarah.
Hi.
Hello, Sarah.
My brother from another mother.
Yes, my sister from down under. We discovered that, I don't know how long ago it was when we got together, maybe a year, a little over. You were on my show and I was on Yowie Central for a podcast. What I loved about you right off the bat, we hit it off. Like we've known each other for years and we only
Yeah.
met for the very first time.
We sure did. We sure did. Or should I say, me hearties.
Arr, my heart.
I want to be a pirate as well. Arr.
Yes, thank you so much for that. Arr, Sarah's
Arr.
a pirate. Arr. Thanks for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. The feeling is totally mutual. I can't remember when we first.
Yeah,
It
it
might have
was-
even been a couple of years ago.
It
actually.
might have, time flies. This is
does.
starting my 4th year doing
Yeah.
this, and I had followed Yowie Central. And by the way, everybody, Sarah's podcast and links are pinned in the description of the show. So I highly suggest if you want a different perspective from another country of Australia, yes, go check her out because she does great work. I called you the voice of Australia for the Yowie. Maybe I don't know who's the biggest, but I tell you what, doesn't matter to me. You're the best.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you very much.
Before we get started, I've had a hectic day. We got the crappy weather. It's so frigid and cold. And everybody, today was my mother's 80th birthday. She turned
Happy
80
birthday,
today.
Mom.
Yeah. So myself, my brother, my sister. Well, she's my sister-in-law, but she's my sister. Her two grandchildren who are my nephews, and of course, probably a guy that's going to be married into the family. We're all there. We had a great time. We got there at 5. We spent like 3 hours at the restaurant celebrating Big 80. And
Nice.
my sister-in-law put a cool picture of my mom from tonight's event on Facebook. I got to tell you, she's got some good genes. She don't look a day over 50. Yeah, so it was a
That's
good
awesome.
time. So thanks everybody. So yeah, we've got a lot to go over because you sent me all these pictures, and what I'd like to do maybe for the first half, talk about some of the things you've uncovered. But before we do that, why don't you give everybody a brief tell everybody who you are, how you got started in this fascinating field.
Okay. Well, just before I do, I just saw a comment. Jason asked, what time is it in Australia? It is 12 minutes past 1 in the afternoon. So it's broad daylight here.
It is.
But it's the next day. So it's Wednesday today, not
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Oh, you know what? It's Wednesday. See, today it's Tuesday in the States. So it's Wednesday in Australia. It's Wednesday where you live?
In Australia. Yes.
So isn't that weird? Because we all know here in the United States that tomorrow is going to happen. Right? We're looking into the future. Yeah. That is why it's Tuesday and it's Wednesday where you're at. I'm not the sharpest guy. I don't understand how that works. And that's a whole nother show, probably.
It always messes with my head when I'm trying to arrange interviews with people from your country. I have to look it up online, and it takes a little bit of concentration. It shouldn't. But it does. It does. It messes with my head.
Well, we were talking last night, and now I'll always remember this. I am 8 hours ahead of you because 9 o'clock. It's after 9 here.
But the day before.
But the day before. That is crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. I started the show. I've always been fascinated with uh, uh, the invisible realm, with all the different creatures that are there. When I was a child, I was reading books about ogres and fairies and elves, and then that sort of developed as a teenager into vampires and werewolves, and pretty much even today, when I read a book, and I still read a lot, but it's always urban fantasy. It's always got vampires and werewolves and shapeshifters and all that sort of stuff.
I
It
love it. I love
just
it.
fascinates me, and I no life without that invisible realm for me seems really tedious and boring. So I did a radio show. Yowie Central started as a little local radio show on the volunteer radio station in the town that I used to live in, Castlemaine. And a friend of mine was doing a regular show, asked me to jump on one afternoon and just said, bring something to talk about.
Okay.
And pretty much the only thing that I thought might be slightly interesting that I knew a fair amount about was the Yowie and Bigfoot and Sasquatch. I
Sure.
knew more about Bigfoot and Sasquatch first because I didn't even know there was an Australian Yowie until quite late in life. I lived overseas in Spain for all of my 20s, and I wasn't really connected with what was going on back here. It wasn't until I was in my 30s when I discovered that there was an Australian Bigfoot.
Mhm.
Anyway, started this radio show, got really good feedback from that one show that I did, and then they suggested that I do an ongoing weekly show. So I did a 1 hour show every Wednesday for a couple of years. And that morphed into a podcast because I found that I was having all these really interesting conversations with people and having to chop it all up into 57 minutes to fit the radio format. And I decided that was my listeners were missing out on some really good stuff. So, and it was quite stressful having to and time consuming editing a conversation down to exactly 57 minutes. So I branched out on my own, and 6 years later, so I'm almost 6.5 years now.
Mhm.
It's still going really strong. I had a couple of years. This year's been 2025 was a great year. 2024 and 2023 were a bit slower. I was really busy and I didn't have quite as much time to get shows out. They were only happening like once a month or something. But this last year and this year, it's pretty much once a week I'm getting a show out.
You know, my hat's off to you as far as the podcast side goes, because I will tell you this. I do 3 live shows a week, but they're live, just like we're doing now.
Mhm.
And I love it because it's spontaneous, it's not scripted. And you know what I love the most, though?
What?
I don't have to do any editing.
I
What
can
you get
totally understand
is,
that.
but I
It's
give
the
you a ton
pain
of
of my
credit.
existence.
I give you a ton of credit because one of our friends, our tech guy, Randy, what he will do is he takes these live shows and he cuts them down and edits them. And we have our own podcast because we're on like 20 podcast platforms. Apple, Google. I mean, we're up
Mhm.
Spotify. So this show will be on a podcast like next week. But Randy will take this show and just edit out some of the fluff to break it down.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I don't have the patience nor the time, and I'm not very technically savvy, you know. So for what you do, I really have big appreciation for that because I think oftentimes people just watch a show or listen to a podcast, Sarah, and they don't get the amount of work that's put into it. And I'm
Mhm.
not bragging or building us up for the audience. I'm not. Like anything else that you want to succeed, it takes time. It's almost like a full-time job or at least for sure a part-time job.
Yeah, absolutely. The last just before Christmas, I did a 3.5 hour interview, which is unusual. Usually they're somewhere between an hour and 2 hours, maybe 2.5. But the man that I spoke to, he had 3 years worth of incidents at this place that he lived, and it was kind of a Skinwalker Ranch situation, but it
Ooh,
was a 3.5 we did it in 2 sessions, three and a
okay.
half hours long, and I ended up so when you have a 3.5 hour long conversation, it takes pretty much at least double that to do the first edit And
Oh
with
boy.
something that long, I usually do two edits. So it's many hours for each show that goes out. I've usually done two edits on it, and it's a lot of hours, but I love doing it,
No, no.
So
Hey, listen, I know you love doing it because it shows in your work. Because I've listened to many of your podcasts, and I'm not bored. I think they're great, and I really think that you've improved. Because I've listened to quite a few of them back when you started,
Mhm.
and I will tell you this, and I'm not saying this because you're on the show. I can tell from year to year, month to month, the improvement in the quality of the edit work. The shows are always fantastic from the very beginning till now, but I can tell that the quality and the way you're editing these, they improve dramatically, and they were
Thank
never
you.
bad to begin with, but you can tell you put the hard work in, right?
Yeah, yeah. Practice makes perfect, and I'm not even close to being perfect yet.
No, hell
I mean, I even edit out if some people speak with a lot of ums and ahs, or they
uh-uh.
have little vocal tics that when you're listening to a podcast that's just audio, that you can't see the person to distract yourself, you're only listening to the audio. When someone's got vocal tics like that, it can actually be quite annoying to listen to. So I spend a lot of time editing out. If someone does a lot of ums, then I edit them, as many of them as I can,
Yeah,
out.
no.
Um, um, edit
Well,
out.
let's see. Yeah, right. No, I get it.
Yeah.
I do. I will tell you this: when I do a live show like this, I will watch the show back because sometimes I don't have time to read the chat, and I like to read what the people are saying. But I also listen to how I'm speaking, my questioning, but all those little irritating because I do some annoying things that I've noticed and heard back that I try to put up in my head to stop doing. But it's so natural the way we speak, right? And that's the hardest part is trying to alter your natural speaking.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah, yeah.
click a lot, like I've
Yes.
noticed, which is I do that.
Or when someone's telling you a story, I've had to train myself to not go, uh-huh, mhm, mhm,
Ah,
because when you're talking to someone in a conversation, you give them, uh, clues and little hints that you're listening to them and you're engaged with what they're saying, but you can't do that when you're interviewing someone because it's really annoying, to the listener. So I occasionally fall into old patterns and I have to edit myself out, but I'm getting better and better at keeping my mouth
no.
shut while
Well,
people are talking.
well, you do great, and the difference between the podcast side and the live show is like when I'm talking to you right now, I'm trying to read the chat and chat into the chat room just to say hi, but I'm listening to you because as you're speaking, I'm trying to formulate a question ahead of what you're going to say. So
Multitasking,
I'm trying to
yes.
anticipate what you're gonna say
Yeah,
so I can, boom, ask you something, right?
yep, I
And
do
it's
exactly the same thing.
yeah, and hey, listen, we're not bragging everybody. It's practice.
Yes.
It's a learned art.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah,
It is.
absolutely.
But enough about what we do.
Mhm. If you
Like
hear,
it
I've got my dog in the studio, so if you hear any clip-clopping
oh,
of
well,
his
there you
claws.
it is live, and that's okay. Usually when Chris is on, her cat loves me, and her cat will jump on, and you'll see him sometimes in the background walking around. He loves my voice, I guess.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so whatever. But,
He loves
so
your
yeah,
dulcet tones.
there you go. I wanted to get into this with you because there's a couple things I'd like to do. I like to talk about some of your experiences because you sent me so many pictures that would take 5 hours to get through. So I
Okay,
kind of,
I'll come back
I could,
again. We can do 2 shows.
which is I appreciate them. I
Mm.
condensed them down. We could talk about those and just because what I love is that you're actually out in the field too, doing some work outside of podcasting because you are out there. I always hate saying boots on the ground. That's such a cliche, but you're out there doing some exploration in
Mhm.
Australia. You're looking for Yowie or strange things, right? So I like to get into that. And I also want to talk about your show and talk about some of the crazy experiences from your listeners that have shared with you, with the audience, because the audience does love great stories. So, with that being said, I'd like to start with I'm going to show a picture right quick here that we can get into and get on with this. Um, as soon as I find my ass. Okay, so let's see here. What do I have here? I want to talk about this really quickly because I'm still a lot of the audience may not know this, and I got a couple of these here when we talk about these glyphs. I like to know you sent me a couple. I like to know what the story is behind these, but also what's the significance in your opinion. Okay. So I'm gonna pull up a couple that you got here, and they're back to back. And for people watching, these are actually I'm not gonna put words in your mouth, but what I understand is these the way these are set up, they were placed there, right, by perhaps a Yowie or some creature, right? If
Mhm,
you wanted to get into
mhm.
that, I'll show these for a little while, then I'll pull you back up on screen, unless I can put us both side to side, which I can't because this takes up the whole thing. So what is this here we have going on?
Okay, so there's a couple of things going on there. To the right, obviously you can see an
Yes.
X marker. It was perfect. It did not to me, to my eyes, look like it was naturally occurring. The sticks have been broken off and stripped of any other smaller branches off them and any leaves, and they've been placed in an X, in a perfect looking X. To the left of that, there's a better shot of it on one of the other photos, but you've got a stick that's broken. The smaller, the shorter end of that stick was placed upright. The bottom of the stick is on a stone. It's not buried in the ground. It's resting on a stone, on a leaf, which is on a stone. So this stick was sticking upright and was broken and had a longer bit pointing that way, but the short bit was balanced on a stone. There's no way that's natural. No way.
It
It
was placed there,
it was placed there.
and time was taken to do that.
Yes. More than likely, when things are broken and pointing in a certain direction, you kind of look to see what they're pointing at. In this case, it was pointing down the trail that we were walking on. I found that at the end of November last year, and we were up near Tyalgum, which is a town in New South Wales, right on the border of New South Wales and Queensland on Australia's eastern coast. And it's semi-tropical up there. So it's very hot, very muggy, very humid. And it was 36 degrees that day. I can't remember what that is in Fahrenheit, but it was really hot.
Yeah, it's
With
90.
80% humidity. Yeah, it was a really hot day. And my friend who is very psychic and is very gifted when it comes to communicating telepathically with the Yowie people. He took me for a walk up the back of the mountains near his place, and we found a few of those really strange stick structures. We did have company. I couldn't see anything, but he's very switched on, and he said, "Oh, we've got a young male over here looking at us. He's not allowed to interact with us." That's one of the things they've told us, and it's the same in the States, I think, is the young ones aren't allowed to interact with humans without permission. So this young one was looking at us, and these there were multiple patterns, sticks that were kind of that were like woven together,
Yeah.
things that don't happen naturally. And that's what you're looking for if you're out looking for things that might be a glyph, as opposed to just natural fall of sticks, is something that can't happen naturally. And if it hasn't happened naturally, something or someone has put it there.
Yes, and let me ask you this because we don't get into glyphs too often. So we've talked about it in 4 years, obviously. What do you think is the significance? What do you think? Is that a communication, do you think?
Yeah.
First of all, they're being very meticulous about this. They're doing it for a reason. I don't think they're doing it for us as human beings. do you think it's some sort of communication for the other Yowie, or is it a warning? Much like we see the big X structures in the
Mhm,
forest.
mhm. Yeah.
What do you think this? What do you think that's for? What's the purpose behind that, in your opinion?
I think those big X markers you find in the forest are, "Don't go past here," I think.
Okay,
Um,
a warning.
a warning. The glyphs, unless it's been left occasionally I get left something that's clearly for me, and and that's different to the glyphs that you might find like on the ones we found on that track. I don't think they were left for me. They're communicating to each other, so there's something of interest to them in that direction. Um, it could be pointing to a ley line, it could be pointing to water, it could be pointing to um, houses and humans, like, "Don't go down that way." Uh, One of the things that was communicated to us was that sometimes if a group of Yowies are walking in a particular direction and then they turn off the track or they turn off the direction they're going into another direction, they might put a stick in. And every individual who's in that group will put a stick in to say that they've stopped there and they've turned to go somewhere else. So it's directional markers, it's warning markers. One thing that can also be kind of placed in that is when they touch those sticks, they leave a residue, like a frequency, and
Okay.
you can feel it with your hand. Uh,
Oh,
Luckily, the friend who took me up on that walk, he and one of my other I've got a little group of, the Yowie Central team is a little group of psychic mediums behind me that support
okay,
me, and
fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, and so um, they we were told that um, when Mark and Daz, two of them, taught me how to feel that frequency. And if you hover your hand over something that they've touched, the palm of your hand gets warm and you can feel just a very subtle vibration, very subtle. And it takes a little bit of, like, at first I was going, I don't feel anything. And it was, why is it working for me? But with a little bit of practice, and they're very patient with me, I learned how to do this. So now I can feel when something is placed by them or it's just naturally fallen. Those two things those two ones that we just saw, the two glyphs that I just you put up on the screen, I could feel the
Oh,
frequency above it.
wow.
So I knew they'd touched it. Yeah. And there's another photo. I'm not sure if you are going to put it up. There was another little X marker. When I arrived at the accommodation that I had, there was a little lodge out in the middle of the forest for that weekend when I went to visit. When I got out of the car, right on my path to walk into the little lodge we were staying at, it's all green grass. There are no other sticks, and there was another perfect X marker right there in my path that also had the frequency on it, and I knew that one was left for me. That was a hi. Hi, Sarah. Welcome. Yeah. So there's
Wow.
all sorts of different meanings. Most of the meanings, I mean, there would be more that I don't know, but they're usually communicating with each other, not with us.
And really going back to those two photos I showed everybody, I'll pull them one more time here really quick. Oh, I can't. Regardless, they weren't, to me, from the photos. They weren't all that big, correct? I mean, they weren't huge. Was that like pretty much a
Yeah, that
12
like
by
the
12 square, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, and
So the X marker, that one that we just saw, was like the sticks were maybe that big, two of those. And the one that was broken, that was balanced on a stone, that was, hang on, get the camera. That was about that big in total, and it was broken to point. So not very big.
I think that's amazing. You felt the energy off of that, just from the Yowie touching that, and it left that energy residual behind.
Yeah.
I mean, and I do think I agree with you. I think there's some sort of marker. I think they're used to communicate with each other, not necessarily us. And the bigger ones, I think, are used to ward off people. Say this is our territory and this is our grounds. And with that being said, I got to tell you, you've got some prints here that I do want to show here because we also have a weird being that I'm going to show a little later. But some of these prints, I've got a bunch of these prints, and I'd like to get into this too. Now, these I believe you captured. And
Mhm,
I want
mhm.
and there's some other things I gotta show too. I want to
Yeah,
get some of these
all the photos that I sent you were my
raw.
photos.
Yes, I know that. Yes. This here, Sarah, this one
Oh, yeah.
here. Now, what do we have going on here? I see the impressions, the toes. I
Yeah.
clearly see footprints, and I see the measuring stick there. And I can see the impressions at the top. What do you suspect was going on with this photo?
So that was Gary Lynn and I. Have you spoken to Gary? I think you might have on your show
I
before.
don't know that I don't recall, but go ahead. I don't think so, but go ahead.
Yeah, so Gary and I were up. This was also up in southern Queensland, southeastern Queensland, and we'd gone for a walk. He was taking me because he lives up in that area, in the lower Beechmont area, in the hinterlands, in the mountains, near the Gold Coast, but in the mountains. And yeah, we found two large tracks that day and one small one that was half the size. So that track was 40 centimeters long. I don't know how much that is in inches, but bigger than my foot anyway, considerably bigger than
I
my
think
foot.
that's,
Yeah.
15 and a half inches, 15, 16 inches.
Something like that. So you can see that was, and it was obviously easier to see in real life. The photo,
Oh, for sure.
it's harder to see in the photo, but it was definitely a large foot impression with toes at the top. And we found a couple of those that day. Gary did try to make a cast of that one, and it wasn't deep enough to make a good cast, so it didn't turn out very well. I
Oh, well,
do have another cast up here, actually. Have I shown you that before?
no, you haven't. You can grab it.
I'll grab
Really
it here.
quickly. Yeah, go ahead. Yes, please.
This is 14 inches.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, this was a big one. It's actually got, and I don't know if you can make it out, but it's got 6 toes. A bit hard to
I
make
can
it
see
out
no,
anyway.
I can
Yeah.
see the toes up at the top. Oh, you can definitely see them on that angle. I can count
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Right there. I can see the indentations in that perfectly. That's an
Yeah.
excellent cast you got there.
Yeah, this is a really good one. This was made by Gary and Buck,
Okay.
who were from the Australian Yowie research team when we all used to research together in that team. But they had a lot of activity, and this was a really cool. They made a copy of it for me, which was really fun.
No, that is pretty sweet. I like that. And in fact, here I've got. Well, first of all, I'm going back to this one, and this one on the far left, you can definitely see toe marks in there, right? And it
Yeah,
looks like a
yeah,
smaller one because your foot is probably smallest for being a girl. I
yeah.
assume that's your foot. But I gotta tell you, look how wide that is. You can
Yes,
put two of your feet in there.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
You could. And the smaller one, the one I think that was the one on the right
Yeah.
is the possibly a juvenile, possibly a child,
Yeah.
a juvenile yowie, because that was 20 centimeters and it was half the size of the 40 centimeter one.
Okay. Well, I
So
got.
yeah.
Oh, no, those are awesome. I love the prints. But and look at this. Here's some more defined ones, everybody. Those are good. I can tell because I look at these things all the time.
Mhm.
And on the big screen, everybody, when you look, I know a lot of you people watch the shows on the phone, but when you have a chance, go on your TV or go on your laptop or your a bigger screen because you can see a lot more depth in these prints. And here's one here that I love them all, by the way. And I was looking at this one.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
wasn't that
I
a
mean,
cool one?
and these are is that like clay? The ground. See here in the United States, that looks like Australia, the topography is, would you call it, is it fair to say it's a little bit more rough than ours? But you do have Greenlands though, right?
Yeah, it depends on where you are. Those two, in fact, there's two of
I
this.
got
The one on the left is different to the other two. The other two is the
yeah, the
same
other
track,
two is
just
the
a
same,
close
but
up.
one's big.
Yeah.
I want to talk first on one on the far left. Okay,
Mhm.
I don't care that it's smaller than your foot, but that is weird. That's not human looking. You see, look
No.
how long those toes are.
Yeah,
That
yeah. So that was on the banks of the Murray River, which is only a few kilometres from where I live, and we go camping along there quite a lot, and that was in the banks of the river, so it was muddy. It was what had been mud, and then it had dried. The whole bank that we arrived down there to go camping, and there were footsteps everywhere, and then my dog decided to run straight through the wall. So,
oh, hey, I'm gonna put it.
so I
Like
didn't go
I
and
like
get
to
my
see.
tape measure because he ruined them all.
Well, I like to show you too and go back and forth. Yeah, okay, that is so sweet though. It's one of the best prints I've seen. And
Yeah, it's a good one.
look how deep it is. That
Yeah,
is not like our footprint. I mean, that's got some heavy. It's heavy.
and there's no arch to the foot, so
It is. It's a
unless it's a human child who's very flat-footed,
yeah.
um,
Now, I
you know.
will say, moving on to the other two. Now, the one in the middle and the one on the right, they're both the same. One's smaller,
Mhm.
one's bigger. But I got to tell you something. I don't think that's no Yowie.
What do you reckon it is?
I don't know. It looks like there's only three toes, two on the outside and one on the inside.
Mm, so
That's what
maybe
now
it's
that now that's what my mind is telling me. I could be
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. Yeah, no, you might be right. Who knows? Like I don't have the answer to what made it, but
I'm not expecting you to. That's just my opinion. It's just that's the first thing that, how shall I say, came into my mind when I seen that,
yeah,
because I see the one on the far left and the other two. I said, man, this is different.
it looks different, doesn't
I
it? Yeah.
almost thought Dogman because I seen
Mm,
the two toes on the far left and right were more pointed. I don't know if you see that, and I'm gonna pull it up again. On the left and on the right, I see
mm,
two distinct claw-like toes, and in the
yeah.
middle, I just see one in the middle. But that's just me. That's just me. Good old BMR. I could be wrong or out
Yeah.
left field. I don't know. But that's why
Yeah,
I love when we do the exploring and find these things just to talk about them. Because
yeah, absolutely.
and again, do you find that? Well, I'm going to move on to this other. Hang on. Now, in fact, I'm going to pull this out for a moment. Do you find that what's the average out in Australia when you talk to different guests and what you've done? Do you find that there are in the United States, it depends. North in the Pacific Northwest, they talk about Bigfoot that have 21-inch prints, 9, 10 foot tall. And in
Mhm.
certain other parts of the states down south, they might be a little smaller and not as big. What are you finding from your own personal experiences out in the brush and folks you've had on your show? What's like the average size? I would think in Australia, it probably if I think it's more like the United States. It varies from the part of the country that you're in.
Yeah, it's a little bit different here. I would say the average size would be about 9 foot tall. Um, I've had reports of from 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot, 9 foot, 10 foot, 12 foot, even 15 foot's probably the biggest. I've had two different
Okay.
people report 15 footers. Um, but on average, I'd say maybe about 8 to 9 foot tall. Interestingly, in Western Australia, which is a long way away over the other side of the country, they seem to have less Yowie reports and more Junjadi reports. So the Junjadi or Jinjari or Woodachi, they're all Aboriginal names for a different kind of being, also called the little fella. And he's hairy, he's bipedal, like the Yowies, but they're much smaller, and they maybe grow to a maximum of 5 foot.
Mm.
Interestingly, and I don't know why, there seem to be more reports of the little fellas over in Western Australia than there are Yowie reports, even though there are some Yowies over there. But it doesn't depend on, like in the States, it seems to be in the colder, more mountainous regions, the Sasquatch seem to be larger and they seem to be smaller in the hotter, more southern regions. Is that right?
Larger to the north, smaller to the south, but then it
Yes.
varies.
Yes.
However, the majority of the reports larger is typically northern, Pacific Northwest,
Mhm.
Alaska. Florida, they have the skunk ape, they call it, which is a little shorter. I had a man on a couple weeks ago. They're not as robust looking, they're thinner. And, uh, just speculation would be it's so dang hot and humid in Florida. And these creatures, they just burn all this energy. I imagine just like us, right? When you're continually sweating, whether you're working, exercising, it just seems like you're always just perspiring, right?
Mm.
And I think in the northern climates, they retain it, and I think that the lands are vast because Florida is only so wide. And I think in like Montana, where Duke, I saw you were on Duke some time ago or the other
Mhm.
day, Alaska, and all these bigger states like the Pacific Northwest, where it's so vast and free. I mean, there's in the in northern in the northern plains of America. I was reading, and I could not believe this. Sarah, there's over 1 billion acres of untapped, charted territory in the forest alone.
Yeah.
Think about that
That's
for a minute.
Mhm. Yeah. Yep. Same in Australia. Well,
Yeah,
more, we
I
probably got
imagine.
more over here.
You know,
Much
there,
smaller population.
there's an abundance of food, natural resources, and there's no men out there. There's no women out there.
Mm.
So there's so much stuff to get through today. You did such a great job with all this stuff. You did. Hats off to you. But we got some creepy stuff we're gonna get into. I want to show. Let's see. When we showed that one, well, I tell you what, I want to show something. Here's another print and a map, and we'll get into the map in a minute. But here's another print. On the left. This map here, is that your research area, or is that going to be when we talk about the weird being?
That's when we talk about the weird being, that's
Okay.
the area that
Okay.
I've found it. Yep.
I will show that map in a moment. But on the right, I distinctly see a nice size print there with toes and everything.
Yeah.
Where so can you tell us a little bit about this track?
Yeah. That one I found just outside my studio where I'm talking from now. And it wasn't really a track, as in a trackway. It was just the one, which so often happens. It was just this one, what looks to me like a track. The ground around here is very hard and very dry, so it's hard to make a deep impression here where the farm is. But that just I was just walking out to the studio one morning and I noticed that directly in my path on the way out to the studio, and I was like, "Whoa, that looks like a track to me." So yeah, that was just one of them that I found. I do have them visiting on the farm. I've found that track, but I've also found a few glyphs. Some of the gifts that I've left out have disappeared. Some of the chunks of amethyst that I left out ended up. I found a chunk that I'd left out on a gifting tree that's maybe 70 meters away. I found one of the chunks of amethyst back near my caravan, my trailer where I live.
Yes.
So either a bird's picked it up and dropped it back at me, or it was picked up as the gift that it was intended and shared back with me. I don't know, but I left marbles. I left a couple of plaits of my hair from my hairbrush and marbles, and they all disappeared, all of them. It took a few months for that to happen, but they all disappeared. So I suspect the gifts were taken by the Yowies as they were, they were gifts for them, and I hope that's what happened. Look, maybe it was a marsupial or a rat or something. I don't know, but from where I put it, it was unlikely to be. It was more likely to be a Yowie than anything else, anyway.
With that being said, there's a couple things we're gonna have to. I wanted to show Sarah's work, everybody, because again, she's just not a podcast. First of all, you're busy doing other things like we all do throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year. And I wanted to show, and Sarah sent me like 50 pictures. I could not download all of them. Otherwise, we'd have a marathon show all night long. So I just want to highlight. I have some more pictures left. And what we have coming up. First of all, thank you because you are a hard worker. You're out there with the boots on the ground, as they say. And I've got some other pictures to show. But now, everybody, what we're going to get into, and we're also going to talk about some experiences from Yowie Central as well. But I want to get through all of Sarah's great due diligence and work. We got some creepy things coming up. Some of them, I've got some pictures that are kind of, if you make sure that, if you have a weak stomach, you might not want to look at them. I'm just saying, right?
Oh,
With it,
yeah.
yeah. And then we've got a couple. Then we're going to dive into some paranormal elements that I believe might be going on here. But with that being said, Sarah, as I told you backstage, I had to take care of that one other thing, and then we will be back to continue on. Sarah, is it Bignell or Bignell? I'm sorry.
I was going to say Bowden or Bowden.
Bowden or
It's
Bowden?
Bignell.
Big,
I did get somebody call me Bignell once, which I thought
Bignell,
sounded really
Bignell or
nice. Bignell.
Beignet or
You're a
Beignet
Bignell. No.
from New Orleans.
So it's
Bignell.
Bignell. Bignell.
That's what I
Yes.
thought. Bignell. I always second guess. I'll be right back. I got to take care of that thing. Then we're going to get into some more pictures and some other crazy Yowie encounters in Australia. By the way, the link for Sarah is dropped. I see that Fidesz has been dropping your link for your show all night long. Thanks to Fidesz. We'll be back in, like it's going to say, 45 seconds.
Mhm.
I think that was maybe 53 seconds.
That's pretty
Thanks,
quick.
everybody, for coming on in. Thank you, Sarah. Go check out Yowie Central. I tell you what, I think it's the best workout in Australia. I really do. And I'm not just saying that. I like it. I love it.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Your links have been dropped by Sarah, another Sarah. Fidesz has been dropping your links. The links are also posted for Sarah in this description of this show. Thank you. Don't forget the super chat's open. You can become pirates tonight, mateys. Arr. Hit that like button, leave a comment after the show. Thanks to everybody for coming on in. Appreciate and love all you guys equally, and also the people watching that aren't in the chat. I appreciate you guys as well because without all of you, we could not have a show. You drive the shows, and I do appreciate every single one of you. And we've got, we have a super chat from Benno. Thank you, Sarah. Aussies rule. That's right, from Benno. Thank
Absolutely.
you, Benno.
Look,
That's awesome.
there's a couple of questions here. One, am I familiar with Dan Richard? The answer would be no. I don't know who Dan Richard is. There's another question that says, does Sarah have a YouTube channel? Coming soon. I do have it, but there are no videos on there yet. 2026 is the year that I learned to edit video. So I will be putting on shows, YouTube shows, and maybe even starting live shows. I'm not very technologically advanced, and so it's quite challenging for me to learn new things. But I've been procrastinating about learning how to edit video for a couple of years now. So 2026 is the year. So stay tuned. YouTube channel coming.
Well, that'd be great because you just expand your audience, right? I have found that podcasters, people that watch podcasts and people that watch YouTube, they're two different animals, for the lack of a better word. I found that, some people either have one or the other. Very few like both that I've found, and I could be wrong. That's just my experiences. But that'd be great, though. A live with Down Under with Sarah. That'd be great. That'd be a great YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'd be a bit nervous, but we can make
Well,
it work.
you're doing fine. You're live right now.
Oh, yeah, but you're driving. If I have to drive,
yeah,
that's a different story.
It's it's the same but a little different. You can't edit the live show. The live is live is live is live, right?
Yep. And that multitasking that you were talking about before, like always having something ready to talk about, is really important.
Having something, trying to watch the chat, trying to think of questions and be engaged. And here's the thing, though. I give most of the attention to the guests. 70% of my job is focusing on you and listening to you. And the other 30% is the chat room, who I love everybody. But, and they realize that, though, for people that watch the show, they do. And they're great. I have the best chat audience out there.
You do. You have an awesome audience. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You all rock. And those that are watching the replays, you rock as well. You all rock no matter how you watch the shows, whether they're live or replays, or if you're watching now and not participating in chat, that's okay too. Love you all equally. So I want to get into some other things. I've got to tell you, I'm going to put up a picture here. This is something that you came across. This weird being. I'm going to put up the first picture, then the bigger picture. And I want to get into this because I find this fascinating. Here's the first picture of this weird being. Of course, you circle, which is fine. If everyone's looking down here, I see a perfect figure of something, right? And before I get into that, let's see, do I have it? I want to show the map first. This map on the far left, everybody, this is the location, the proximity of where you came across the weird being. Is that correct? Correct.
That's the Gunbower National Park on the Murray River. And that's the border between Victoria and New South Wales.
Okay. And I see the river running through there. And I see the gray. Now, am I to assume the gray is the forest area?
Yes, correct. It's a national park now.
Okay.
Gunbower used to be the Gunbower State Forest. It's now mostly national park.
And really, just not too far outside of this place there's a city. There's I see buildings and houses and everything else too, right on the outskirts.
Yeah, there's a little town called it's not a very big town called Kundruk. And just over the river is the New South Wales town of Barham, and they're like twin little towns. And I live not too far from Kundruk on the Victorian side, and that's the forest. We usually go to the New South Wales side when we go camping, but that photo was taken on the Victorian side. That was a couple of years ago, and I'd just gone wandering by myself one afternoon without the dogs and just by myself. And I felt very uneasy that day.
And I'm going to hold you right there because I want to show the more expanded picture, then you can get into this story of what you came across. So this is the blown up photo, everybody. And yeah.
It's a bit freaky, isn't it?
That is like freaky humanoid looking, and the white that's encompassing it. I don't know if that's energy that's being put off or part of the picture, but you can definitely see some being in there. And I'm not going to say anything else to give you my thoughts on this. I want you to tell the story, what you think and what you experienced on this amazing photo.
Yeah, so that day I was just out looking to see if I could see any Yowie sign, and I used to take my dogs out walking quite a lot, but then they changed that spot into national park, and I wasn't allowed to take my dogs there anymore. And so I was wandering around by myself, off track, and I just happened to what I often do is I just snap photos of the area around me, and then I look later for signs of Yowies. So I just happened, it was even a couple of months later, hadn't even gone through these photos. A couple of months later, I'm going through these photos, and you go through, you zoom everything and you look closely, and all of a sudden I saw this thing, and I thought, that looks like a head. And, zooming in, and it really looks like, and the sun was behind it. So the sun's shining from the back of it. It looks like it's got a fuzzy head with the sun shining. It looks like fur or hair. I don't think it's a Yowie, but I don't know. It could, if you look at the zoomed out version, it looks actually relatively tall. It's not that short. But your guess is as good as mine as to what it is, because I really don't know. I really don't know, other than that I felt quite uneasy that day, which is often a sign that there's something else there. But I don't know. If any of your audience know what that might be, please let me know.
I just noticed really quickly, I'm not really looking in the chat, but I seen little Patty says they look kind of alienish, like an alien.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was something. Maybe it was an ET being. Maybe it was some other kind of cryptid. I don't know, but it's very odd.
Now, when you came across this, what did you have any? You might have said this already. So I was trying to do something else. I was reading something. Did you have any feeling? I mean, this was from far away. You shot this from how far away? I should ask first.
Well, if you look at the zoomed out version, you'll be able to see how far away I was. Have you got
Okay.
that one there?
I'm going to pull it back up. Yes, I am.
Because I think I sent you. Yeah, no, that's even zoomed in quite a long way. I was quite a long way away.
Well, the other one you sent me, even on the screen, it was very minute, even though you circled it. So this is probably.
Yeah, so I was quite a long way away from it. I mean, maybe I'm not very good with distance either, but possibly 50 meters.
Okay. 100 over 100 yards. You know what a football field is in America?
Yeah, I don't know how big that is though.
Okay, well, regardless, you're quite a distance away.
I was quite a distance away. It was really hidden. Like I certainly didn't notice it while I was there, other than feeling a bit uneasy. I didn't see it.
Okay.
And I would have, if I hadn't gone through those photos, like zooming in and going over inch by inch, I would have missed it because it was quite a way away. But it looks like something looking at me through the fork of a tree. But what it is, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
So I was going to ask you, do you have any strange energy or experiences with that personally? Did you feel differently? I guess is what I'm going to ask. I used to go out walking by myself a lot in the bush. I do it less now. I'm a little bit more of a scaredy cat now. Particularly in areas where I can't take the dogs. Then if I've got the dogs, I'm fine. But if that day I didn't have the dogs with me, and I spent maybe an hour or so walking around off the track and started to feel really uneasy
Like I felt like I was in danger, that something was watching me, and that everything wasn't fine. And I snapped quite a lot of photos as I went, but I didn't hang around for too much longer after about an hour of walking around. I just thought, no, I'm starting to feel a bit scared, and I don't really know why, but I'm going to go with, if I'm feeling scared, then it's probably that I'm not welcome somewhere and I'm getting the vibes from something that doesn't want me there. And so generally when I feel that feeling, I pay attention to what my body's telling me, and I respect whatever being is giving me that feeling. I respect I respect their space as well. So if I start feeling uneasy like that, it's generally time to go. So yeah, I can't give you any more information about that one, I'm afraid.
I think that's fascinating. No, that's
Mm.
awesome. I love that capture. I think it's something, don't know quite what it is. And again, what do we know, right? What do we really know?
Mm.
Really briefly, I not really reading the chat. If there's something going on in the chat, everybody be respectful. If you don't like what's going on, be respectful for the people in the chat and the guests. I can't cipher through all this stuff, you guys. Moderators, anybody being a jerk, just get rid of them. That's the way I roll. Nobody disrespects anybody in chat or my guests. If they are, get rid of them. I can't do it all. Trying to follow it. It's just me tonight. So yeah, if someone's being a jerk, boom, 86 them. I don't care because I really appreciate my folks in chat. Sorry, Sarah, for that. I just caught something.
No,
I
you're
don't
right.
know what's going on, and I can't see
I'm not
everything.
sure either, but all good. All good.
But it's all good. We have a great show going on. So
Mm.
thanks to everybody for coming in. So yeah, again, but it's amazing though how we find things out in the field, um, and you don't know what they are. You take these photos, and we just suggest it because these are the rabbit holes we go down. I want to turn this. I got some other photos I'm gonna show lastly before the show ends. But let's talk a little bit about Yowie Central. And I know that much like we do here on this show, talk about people with their experiences with Bigfoot, the paranormal, aliens. What are some of the things that you found in Australia with some of your guests that you like to share with us tonight? Because everybody likes a couple good stories.
Mm.
And I'm sure you've got plenty of them.
Yeah, there are
So if you
lots.
want to do because most of us, I don't know about the people in the chat room. I've never been to Australia. I'd love to go to Australia, right? So it's just uncharted territory for a lot of us. So why don't let's dig into Yowie Central and what you've got and what you've talked about on your show.
Okay, well, let me see. Where do I start? One of the latest, I've had a couple of really incredible interviews in the last few months. One of the most remarkable stories I've heard, I interviewed just before Christmas, and this man, amazingly, was shot in the face at the age of 16 or something and survived. Or maybe he was 18, but somehow managed to survive being shot in the face accidentally, obviously. His brother accidentally shot him in the face. So he blew his jaw off, and he somehow, the man, to actually survive something like that, he's a pretty remarkable man anyway. But he told me so many stories. He's seen Yowies on like 3 or 4 occasions, and had many other encounters while he's been out bush. He's a hunter, so he spends a lot of time, or used to spend a lot of time, out in the bush. And as a young man, he had his first Yowie experience when he was about 12, out in the bush. He didn't see a Yowie, but they think there was one nearby. But he saw the first one when he was about 15, and he saw a giant being. He estimated it to be about 8 foot tall, and really, really muscular, the typical Yowie description. But what was unusual was this being had the color of the hair was dark at the feet, and like and faded to a sort of a soft grey. The higher it got, the lighter it got, and it was grey, which is unusual. Most of the Yowie reports the hair is brown or reddish brown, orangey coloured, but not grey is more unusual. But it also had a colour gradation from dark to light, which is also more unusual. He saw, so this is in the same area as that strange little being that we were just looking at. It's along the Murray River, but on the other side. Oh, in fact, no, this was actually on the same side, same national park, same area.
Mhm.
And he saw this Yowie when he was 15. Next time, let's say 16, the next experience that he had, it wasn't on the Murray, but it was very close by, near a town called Mathaura, and it's on the Edward River, and similar landscape, similar kinds of trees, similar kind of forest. The two adults in the group, he'd gone camping with his dad and with another friend of the father's and maybe a cousin and a few other young men. They're all about 16. And the fathers have gone off to the pub to have a couple of beers while leaving the teenagers at the campsite. And they were staying in a little hut, which was on the river. Earlier on that day, he'd seen something out of the corner. He's riding his motorbike. They were riding their trail bikes, and he sees out of the corner of his eye a human-like figure standing upright and turns to look. It's gone. He then sees out of the corner of his other eye something black and large flash across the road. So he thought, I'm going to chase this. So he starts off into the bush, and then all of a sudden starts feeling really afraid. And the bush is getting really thick, and he can't actually get through any further with his motorbike. So he stops the bike and then starts thinking, there's something wrong. I'm feeling really, really anxious and afraid. I'm getting out of here. So he turns around, goes back to the campsite. Not long after that, he sees in the distance, maybe, I'm just trying to remember how far away it was, maybe a couple of 100 meters. It wasn't close by, but he sees a family group of 3 Yowies. One big one slightly smaller one, and one which was obviously the child or a juvenile. All 3 had the same colouring as the original one that he saw. They were grey with a dark, like black, dark charcoal colour on the feet, and fading to a softer grey as it came up. The next thing that happened was it's starting to get dark, and they realised, well, they'd been playing AC/DC really loudly all afternoon.
AC/DC, okay.
So you can imagine he's playing AC/DC loud, very obnoxious. And then they realise that they haven't collected enough firewood and it's getting dark. So they quickly start collecting firewood. He's out there with his dog. His dog suddenly turns around and runs for the hut, gets into the hut, hides behind, there's a little gap behind the kitchen sink, hides behind the kitchen sink, weeing itself, tail between its legs, terrified of something, shaking. So he's like, oh my God, what's frightened my dog? What's frightened my dog so much? I've got to still go out there and get more wood. So he goes out there, starts smelling something like something that smells dead, like there's a dead animal around, but the smell wasn't there before. So it's really unusual. And he's getting his friends to say, can you smell this? And they're going, oh, yeah, what's that? You know, start going, collect some sticks in another area and just leave that. He goes, oh, yeah, all right. The friends move off to a different area, and then all of a sudden he thinks he can make out in the dark a dark shape, a huge dark shape next to one of the trees. And he starts thinking, oh no, I think it's one of those monsters that we saw before. I think it's come up to our campsite. He starts feeling really frightened. And then he hears an enormous exhale, and he said it was like it was a horse, but bigger. It was this huge exhale that wasn't coming from a human being at all. And that made him go, okay, right, I'm out of here. His arms full of sticks, collecting for the fire, turns to run, puts one foot out, and something grabs his back foot and catapults him up in the air, throws him up in the air, and he lands face down, totally winded, can't breathe, thinking, oh my God, what's going on? And then he feels on the back of his neck something do a big sniff, so close that he can feel the hair on the back of his neck move with the inhalation. And he's thinking, oh my God, something's going to eat me. It's sniffing me to see if I smell nice, and it's going to eat me. He gets his air back, and he starts kind of crawling as fast as he could, manages to get to his feet and just runs for it, yelling to all his friends, go, get in the hut, get inside, there's something out here, get inside. And so they're all running in, the boys are all going, oh my God, what's going on? And he's like, terrified. Poor kid. Imagine that. And then they start hearing a whole lot of sticks hitting the tin roof of the hut, and they're all terrified. Luckily, just then, his father and the two adults arrive home, and all the activity stopped. So I reckon, and they did hear throughout that afternoon too, something banged against one of the other huts, and a large log was thrown into the river as well. So what I think, they're being really obnoxious. He'd chased after one of them on his motorbike, and then they're playing loud, very loud music. And I think the Yowies were just a bit sick of them, really, and wanted to teach them a lesson. They didn't hurt them. There was no harm done, but they were clearly trying to scare them.
To scare them.
Can you imagine having something grab your foot and fling you up in the air?
Well, no, I cannot.
No, poor guy was so frightened he peed his pants. So, as you would.
Hey, listen, I probably would. I know I would. What do you think about the Yowie out in Australia? Do you think that it's more friendly? When you've talked to many people, do you think they're more friendly? Now, this encounter was nothing, I don't think, nefarious. I don't think there was an ill will, right? Is that the stories, the things you've come across? Is Yowie just want to be by itself, much like the North American Bigfoot?
Yeah, or pretty much. Yeah, they're not interested really generally in harming humans. I think we would have way more disappearances and way more people being injured or just disappearing than we do. I was speaking to someone the other day who thought they were way more aggressive than that, and I don't know if the numbers of missing people stack up. We don't have that many, and if there were people being injured, they'd be reporting it, and if people were disappearing, then there would be more reports, I would have thought. So I generally think they don't mean us harm in general. People, that's not to say that people don't have terrifying experiences, but I think from the hundreds of interviews I've done now,
yes,
the impression that I get is that they're being moved away. They're being moved out of a particular area rather than actually the Yowies meaning them any harm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Really quickly, a friend of mine, Pancho, has been with me a long time. He wants to ask you this. Sarah, do you think Yowies are responsible for missing people in Australia? I think you've kind of answered it, but do you think that in general?
There might be. Some of the missing people might be. Like Yowie, I think, are like us in that there are some bad ones and some good ones.
Yeah.
There are also, like us, some that have bad days. Like if you've had a bad day, you can be a lot more aggressive than and road ragey or something than you might be normally. And so the original Australians, our Indigenous people, do report that the Yowies have taken women and children before and are responsible for some missing people. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case and that they were responsible for some, but I don't think it's the rule. I think it's more unusual.
I think so too. I agree with you. I think that there's like human beings, there's good and bad in any of these cryptids or any of these creatures that we don't even know what any of these cryptids, I should say, excuse me. I think there's good Bigfoot, bad. They talk about a lot of these Bigfoot. Like my experience when I first started doing this, I will tell you flat out that my very first encounter, good old BMR, did not view Bigfoot as the friendly forest giant that many people suggest because of what happened to me. And you have
Because of
to
what happened to
realize
you. Yeah.
it happened to me. Now, everybody's got different experiences. Mine was after what happened to me, Sarah, and people have heard me say this many times. I wanted to go back in the forest and hunt the thing down, and I wanted a souvenir. Right.
Yeah.
That was in 2018. I've been doing this since 2022, I think. A show anyway, right? 2022. Yeah, geez, time flies. 2021, I think.
It sure does.
That is not my opinion today when it comes to Sasquatch or Bigfoot because I think there's good and bad, and I'm not suggesting what happened to me was necessarily the fault of the creature I came across. Today, I feel differently. But I will say that I posed a question to people about this, and I'll ask you this question. Well, Rob, how can you say that about Bigfoot being, not friendly? And I say, well, let me ask you this. Would you have your 5 and 6-year-olds playing by themselves at the edge of the woodline with a family of Bigfoot there and unattended by you as the adult parent? My answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to leave my children with some technically undiscovered or something that's not supposed to exist, is not recognized by science. All of us in the chat room, all of us that follow these shows believe Bigfoot exists, much like you do. We've had experiences ourselves. Something I don't understand, I'm not leaving with my kids.
Mm. If they were Yowies that I knew personally, then that's a different story.
If they're ones that you knew forever on your property for as long as you've been there.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the paranormal side of this. You brought up something, and you do believe in mind speak.
Yes.
With the Yowie, the Sasquatch.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've actually got one listening in right now.
Oh, that's where I kind of wanted to go.
Yeah. I've got one. And you know how I know? I start getting, when you're cold and your body shivers,
Yeah.
I start getting body shivers. Like I'm not nervous talking to you because we're friends. And so it's my body's reacting like I'm nervous or that I'm, my energetic frequency, my energetic field is interacting with something else that's impacting my energetic field. And so you can't see it on camera, but I've got the muscles around my stomach and my middle twitching, like you've got an eye twitch, but around here. And I can feel it in my body that I've got. It might be my Yowie. It probably is Donnie Dooligal. I think he's listening in as he does sometimes when I'm doing shows.
So you have a name, Donnie Dooligal?
That's his nickname. He's got a real name, but he asked me not to share that. So I nicknamed him
this
Donnie.
This is fascinating. He asked you not to share it.
Yes.
Please continue.
Okay, so about 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, it was about 3 years ago. Someone contacted me. He's a shaman. He's Australian. He's a shaman, a shamanic healer, and he contacted me and to share a Yowie experience that he'd had, and we did that first session, and then later, he not long after that, he sent me a message saying, "Sarah, I've just had a Yowie come up to me in one of my ceremonies." So he's conducting a ceremony. He's a shaman conducting a ceremony, and in one of the quiet times, he's just sitting there, and he sees things in his third eye like it's a movie, like in color, 3D. He sees all the ghosts and all the cryptids and everything beyond the veil. He can see it all really clearly. He's been a shaman for 35 years, so he's really experienced. And he said, a Yowie came to me and said, "You need to introduce me to Sarah. I need to talk to Sarah." And she doesn't know how to mind speak yet. She won't be able to handle it. I need you to be the intermediary. So when he first sent me that message, I was like, oh my God, are you serious? That's the most exciting thing I've ever heard in my life. Really? And so we did a session together, me and the shaman, Daryl, his name is, and he said, right, I've got this Yowie here. He wants to show you something, and close your eyes. And so I did that, and into my head came these images. First, I felt like I was picked up, and he went running through the forest. It was semi-tropical forest, like up in Queensland, very different to what it's like where I live. And we ended up running through the forest really fast, almost like he was showing me how fast he can run. And then we were sitting up on the top of a hill, and I knew that he was showing me his home. This is my home. And then I think I can't remember if it was in the same session or the next one. We had a few sessions. All of a sudden, this campfire comes into view, and I thought, oh, that's a bit weird. I don't remember them I didn't think that they used fire. And then I recognized the spot where the fire was, and it was the base camp that we used in Springbrook National Park, which is up where there's lots of Yowie activity in southeastern Queensland, in that area where I was telling you about, where that big footprint came from, similar area. And I could see, I could suddenly see all of my team, the team that I was in at the time, with Gary and Dean and so Shannon might have been there at the time, and me. I could see all of us from back in the forest. So he was showing me that he had been watching us, and he was showing me the image of him watching us from back in the forest. I had my thermal monocular up looking, and he showed me an image. So he was basically showing me how he first saw me. Anyway, fast forward a little bit. I started getting together with Daryl, and my little team started coming together. They're all psychic mediums, and they all contacted me separately, individually, feeling compelled to do so. And it turned out that there was a reason for that. We were all meant to be in this little group together, my support team. And so we get together regularly, and we it's like a healing circle. So we send our healing energy to people or places that need, or ley lines that need healing. And we also then have lots of communication with the doula girls, with the Yowies. They come in. I can see them straight away in my mind. I can see their outlines. I can see smiles.
Okay. Now this is in your mind, right? You can vision this in your mind.
Yeah.
And the
What's interesting is that
the communications in your mind as well, telepathy? Yes,
it's telepathy. So people like Daryl, and in fact the other members of the team, they see in a lot of detail. I don't see it in quite as much detail. I see the outline of them more than the eyes and the nose and the mouth. I can tell if they're smiling, but I can't necessarily see all the nitty gritty, but I can tell they're there straight away. I get the outlines in my head. And I've had so many experiences over the last 3 years. At first, I really struggled to believe it. At first, I was like, "Oh, this has got to be my imagination. How do I know the difference? How do I know that this is I'm actually communicating, or am I just imagining this?" And the answer to that is when you ask a question and you get an answer straight away into your head, and it's not necessarily with information or that you knew before, or you get a thought into your head or that you know wasn't your thought. When it's really quick, you haven't had time to think that. The information is coming from someone else or something else transmitting that to you. So in one of the sessions that we had, I didn't actually talk about this for months publicly. Before it took me a while to build up the courage to start talking about it, because people think you're bonkers. People think you're a bit crazy. So it took me a while to start talking about it. But once I did, I checked with Donnie if I could use his name, and the answer was no. Don't share my name. Don't share my name. That's between us.
Okay.
So I had to give him a nickname, and we chose Donnie Dooligal, partly because there's an original Australian elder who I really like, who I've interviewed on my show. He's a great man, and his name's Donnie. So I thought it'd be cool, and because it's Dooligal and Donnie, the DD, the alliteration was cool, so it sounded good. So Donnie Dooligal.
Really quick question. Keith from Michigan asked, do you think this is kind of like remote viewing? I told Keith, I don't think it is. I know a couple of remote viewers. What's your take on that?
It's kind of like remote viewing.
But they're coming to you.
The communication is not remote viewing.
Correct.
What we do, you're correct on that. In those sessions that we do remote viewing. Depending on what we're sending our energy to. But the communication is not so much remote viewing. But
Correct.
when we gather together as a group and with them, we're sort of we're using our energetic body. So we're using our astral body, and you can use that to then remote view different areas.
Yes.
And we've done that quite a few times in different areas. We had a family who'd contacted us who were had Yowies there, and they were quite frightened, and so we decided to check in with them in one of our sessions, and we remote viewed their location from where we were. So it's not exactly the same thing, but it's all connected.
It is connected. Thank you to Quack really quickly.
Oh, that's nice.
I want to thank Quack. Quack says, Beamar, you have some of the best guests. Obviously, that's directed towards you as well. Benno, thanks, Benno. Rob, time flies when you're being chased by a Yowie. Benno again. Sarah, Aussie's rule.
Aussie.
Oi, baby. Yeah, there we go. Hey, listen, I got to tell you something. You don't know this. I don't think you heard this since last time we spoke. And I'm going to tell you right now, as of 3 years ago, I was not a big mind speaker telepathy guy with cryptids. I wasn't. It's because it never happened to me. I've heard stories, but I got to tell you something. Some of the people in the chat might have heard this, but also, hi, Donnie Cho. Also, some of you probably have not, because there's a lot of newer people since I last shared this. I was doing a show about 3 years ago. Robin McCrae was my guest. Robin McCrae claims, well, I'm not going to say claim, you guys. I want to say remote viewing because of Keith's question. She has the ability to speak with cryptids, Dogman and Bigfoot. Thanks, Brian. Yes, thank you, Brian. I'm gonna get some Chinese. I'm getting some Chinese after this. Or is
It
that Korean, Donnie? I don't know.
looks Korean to me.
Yeah, I thought it was too. Korean, Donnie Cho. So listen, Sarah. So now my Bigfoot encounter's been out there since 2018. So anybody that follows me has heard it. And if you're new, you probably haven't. I'm not going to tell my story. So I'm talking to Robin McCrae, and we were talking about Dogman or Bigfoot, Yowie, whatever. And about halfway through my live show, like we're doing now, Robin got distracted. And she says, and I watched the video, I got a clip of this of me falling out of my chair almost literally. She says, and there's a reason behind this, where I now believe in the mind speak, because I believe in it today. Not before, but today I do. And you kind of validated some with what you've told me because I trust you and believe in you as well, Sarah. Here's the thing. Rob, I'm getting Denali. Denali is trying to reach out to you. This is I don't care what we were talking about. She breaks in like breaking news. Rob, I have to stop. Denali has been trying to reach out to you.
Hmm.
And I'm like, Denali? How did you know I want to buy a Denali GMC truck? Are we talking about Alaska? No, Rob, that's the Bigfoot that you encountered in Cadillac, Michigan. His name's Denali. He's speaking to me right now during your show. I'm like, okay, now wait a minute. Time out here. You've probably heard my story and you're just kind of you're a psychic medium. You speak with these cryptids. So you're just now playing games with me. And I said that on the show because it took me aback. She goes, no.
Hmm.
He's been trying to reach out to you and contact you ever since your encounter. And she says to me, and I'm sure she heard my story. I don't know if she did or not. I don't know. At this point, it's immaterial. She goes, he met you and Cindy No Harm. Now, Cindy's my girlfriend that passed away.
Wow. Wow.
She says, Rob, he was just as scared as you were, and he had youngins playing out underneath the water by your boat, and he appeared
Ah,
to scare you off, but
that
meant
makes
no
more
harm.
sense now.
And
Yes.
this Denali during this show is communicating with Robin McCrae and says that, yes, I was not responsible for her death. It was something else that afflicted her. Now, this is the same creature that you screamed, it yelled,
Mm.
and I lost
Didn't its
cognizance.
jaw like
Jaw dropped,
open
and all in unison, it
really
turned
wide?
from a
Yeah.
creature into a demon-looking thing. It totally changed his look, and everything went black and white. The beautiful colors of the day turned black and white and grainy. I could not see very well. My girlfriend Cindy falls into the water, and I can't move. I'm paralyzed. I can't move. I can't think. I can't see. I can see in granules, grainy, like a grainy film, right? Grainy black and white film, and time stood still. Petrified I was. I get her in a boat. Again, Robin says, yes, he's been trying to contact you ever since that day, but you, Rob, are blocking him out. You're not allowing him into you. And she goes, Rob, he knows you don't realize it, but you have a hatred for Bigfoot and Sasquatch.
Mm. Which is understandable,
And I
knowing
did. And I
what
did.
happened to Cindy after that.
did. I did. I had the hatred. I wanted to go back and unalive it. I want to take that beautiful reddish brown coat and hang it in my man cave. I'm not lying to you. I did. I'm being open
No,
and honest with everybody.
I don't
Today, I
blame you.
don't feel that way. So, but I'm going to tell you, but I was still skeptical because I was like, she probably heard my story. She's just very finessing this, right? I still kind of don't believe it. Now, Sarah, when I tell my Bigfoot encounter, I tell it the same for 1,099 times I've told my encounter. I never deviate. I have it. I can picture the story in my head, just like watching a movie. I never change. It's always the same. Always the same. Always. You can watch all of my stuff. It's always the same. I've been on 1,000 podcasts telling the story, always the same. And I'm redundant with telling everybody because there was something in this that I never brought up because it was not pertinent to my story. There was a red barn. Big deal. So there was also a swing set, there was a jungle gym, and there was a dilapidated house. Things that have there's no meaning in the story. I'm not going to get that descriptive. I just explain how beautiful the day was. Other things I just cut out for time. But the red barn was there. And she goes, "Yes, Rob, he is telling me this." And I never told this to anybody, not even my closest of loved ones, because again, meant nothing to me, not part of the story. Rob, he came from around the red barn, he's telling me, from a portal. I lost my shit.
I don't blame you.
I know I never mentioned the red barn in my entire life.
Yeah.
And that red barn was about 40 feet from where this thing came out from.
Wow.
I knew right then, and I'm throwing props to Robin. She's the real deal.
Mm. Yeah,
She
some
is the
people
real
really
deal.
are.
Robin
Some
McCrae is the
people
real
really
deal.
are.
I was skeptical about the mind speak, but when somebody tells me and describes things that I've never told a soul in my life, including my closest confidants, she knows this because this creature's speaking to her during my live broadcast. Oh, come on. That was the most bizarre. I've had
That's
bizarre things happen to
amazing.
me in my life.
Yeah.
That was so bizarre.
Yes.
Mind speak. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Mind speak. Okay. Checkbox. It happens with folks.
Yes.
Ain't
It
happened with
does.
me as of yet. Something is blocking it out, which is fine. I don't need to speak with no creatures. I love your story, by the way. I'm not being I'm not saying I'm not downplaying it, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
But I gotta tell you, yep, it happens. And for
Yeah.
this woman to
It
tell me
does.
things that no one should know, I knew right then and there that the paranormal exists outside of ghosts, which I've seen, but I knew that there's something else. There's another realm. There's another plane in which these creatures walk. And guess what? They bring us into their realm and their plane. They bring us in when they want to.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We can't choose it. They choose it for us. I was talking to this guy, Bigfoot Bob from Germany. Rob, once you see a Bigfoot, you're marked for life. Do I buy that? I don't know. Because you will always see Bigfoot, but they know where you're at every single time, every time you're in the woods. It got me to thinking because I had the one Bigfoot encounter. I've seen 1,000 ghosts. I've seen UFOs. I've seen everything. Just the one cryptid, that Bigfoot in 2018. But then it got me thinking when this guy Bob told me about being marked. So I took a deep dive into my life. Back when I was 7 or 8 years old, my mom and dad took me and my brother up north over the bridge, over the Mackinac Bridge, Upper Peninsula. We had this wooden cabin we stayed in. And looking back on that as I'm trying to draw from my past memories, all of a sudden a light went on in my head. There was this big shadowy figure that always crossed me in my brother's bedroom every single night. It was so big it blacked out. It shaded the moon. And looking back as a child, it had the shape of a Bigfoot with a conical head. So
Uh-huh.
back when I was that young, that was probably, I'm thinking, I can't tell for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking it was a Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
And it got my vibration, got my frequency.
Yes.
And it was cast about into all these planes and all these realms. This guy, BMR, who I later become, right? For show purposes, he's a knower.
Yeah.
He doesn't know it yet, but we're gonna follow him.
Yes. They probably knew what you were going to end up doing.
It probably knew that.
Yeah. They from what we've learned, time isn't necessarily linear for them. They can jump backwards and forwards.
No.
the little X that I found at my accommodation that I was telling you about, I know now that was left by my Yowie. He knew where I was going to be staying. Like I hadn't told him I'm going to be staying at this particular place. He knew where I was going to be and left me a little X there as a welcome.
Yeah,
Yeah. I also had that. I went out to the river. I thought I'm just going to find a nice place to lie down and meditate next to the river, and I didn't know where I was going to stop. Just pulled in at some random spot along the river. Just as I pull in there, there's a big stick jammed into the ground that wasn't natural. It was a Yowie marker, and did they know I was going to stop there and put it just there, or was it just happened to be there anyway? I don't know, but I thought it was really odd that I just happened to pull in at this place and bang, there's a Yowie stick
yeah.
jammed into the ground. Yeah.
And that's a sign, right? That was meant for you to see it.
It was. I think so now. Yeah.
Now
I
you
think
do,
so.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
For
Sure.
sure.
It's funny talking about Dogman. My dog, my big shaggy one who's in here with me today, he goes out and plays with the Yowie sometimes when they're here overnight. They get along well. But Dogman's a different story. And he was huffing and growling a little bit. This was last year sometime. And not the usual if there is a Yowie around, I can tell by his behavior that there's one around. This time he was a little bit anxious. He wasn't like rah, 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 but he was little growls, little huffs, but a bit more concerned than he would be if there was a Yowie there. And I messaged my team and I said, "Oh, Bob's acting really weird." My dog's name's Bob, Robert, actually, like yours. And I said, "Bob's acting really weird." And my friend Mark said, I was thinking in my head before he said anything, I'm thinking the word Dogman is coming through my head. I don't know why. I'm just thinking Dogman. Mark messages me back and says, "I think you've got a Dogman there, Sarah." And I was like, "Oh my God, I was just thinking that." And I've never had we've never spoken about them being on my farm before, so it was kind of random that I was thinking that. And he said, see if you can connect in. And I was like, really? It's a bit scarier than connecting in with a Yowie. Okay. And so I started getting into that quiet meditative space and I started seeing his face in my head. Glistening eyes, ears on the top of the head, the nose. It wasn't my imagination. I was connecting in with him. And Mark actually asked him, why are you there? Why are you there visiting Sarah? And he got a one-word answer back, and that was the word protection. I went, oh, well, that's really nice of you, but why do I need protecting, and from what? What's scarier than a dog man?
What is scary? What is scarier than a dog man? You can get in the dog man. I firmly believe. I just did a show a couple of weeks ago. The dog man. I firmly believe they're only here to scare the crap out of us. And we've all heard about the LBL massacres and some other unalivings of folks. But the stories I get from the people who've been on the show, bipedal wolf, 7-foot creature running beside your car, and they peer in at you and they smile at you. And they just, and you get, and a lot of these can communicate this telepathic stuff to you. I can get you if I wanted to. I can eat you, don't you? And they just want to continue to scare us to no end. I think that's why they're here. And I think they walk between the realms and all these planes. I think they're dimensional. I believe there is a physical dog man. I think there is a dog man that has got the hocked legs with with the German Shepherd head they walk, but they're not graceful. Those exist.
Yes.
And they're kind of creepy. And people have seen those all over. But these other ones, they come from they're supernatural, paranormal. They come from somewhere, and they are the element of the nefarious, right? they are up to no good.
Maybe
And
shapeshifter.
and it could be you know,
Yeah.
the shapeshifter, the werewolf. Hey, I believe werewolves exist. Call me
Mm,
strange. Everyone
yeah.
calls me. Of course, I'm
I do.
strange. Shapeshifters exist. I talked to a guy who's seen his buddy shapeshift into what he says was not a man, but not quite an animal, and ran away on four legs. As a human being, went down on all fours and ran faster than he's seen in his lifetime.
Mm. I met a
Heard
man
him
who
howl.
saw a man, an Aboriginal man, turn into a crow and
Oh,
fly away.
God, really?
Yeah.
Hey, I got, this is so fast. We could go 5 more hours, but I got to bring this up because it's kind of related to what we're talking about. I got to know what the hell this is. For those that are weak at heart, I'm going to show these pretty fast. And then you tell me what this is. What did this? We got there's a part of a kangaroo, right?
Yeah.
And then we got another part here. I'm not showing all the pictures. There's the hindquarters. And then this here, the thing got gutted. So okay. Everybody, boom. Yeah, this is an animal in Australia, right?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is going on? Hang on. Let me get rid of this. I'm sorry, really quick. Shoot. Where is it? Where is it? No, 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 no. Bear with me. I gotta get rid of this. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing here. I gotta get rid of this. Well, anyway, here's this. How come I cannot remove it? I gotta remove it somehow. Hang on. Hang on. Okay. Yeah, so something happened to that, and that's not a human being doing that. Now it could be a predator. When I seen that, I immediately thought of the dog man. And now I brought it up because you mentioned it here in Australia. What's your gut feeling when you saw what do you think happened there?
Okay, so the
That's not an
story is, I know what happened. I know what happened.
awesome. Okay.
So I drive out the farm gates, and about 20 meters outside the farm gate is this dead roo, half a kangaroo. The top half was nowhere to be found. It was just the bottom half of the kangaroo. I took some photos of it. I thought that's really odd. That's really strange. We don't where I live, we don't have predators that could do that to a kangaroo. We don't have bears. We don't have
Yeah.
mountain lions. There are no crocodiles down here. There's nothing down here that could do that could remove the top half of a kangaroo. It didn't necessarily even look like it had been killed in that spot because there wasn't a huge circle of blood. There was a very small circle of blood nearby, but not a massive pool of blood. So it looked like it had been, maybe foxes and crows and things scavengers had been getting into it, but they didn't kill it. So I took photos of it and sent them to my team thinking, hey guys, this is a bit weird. What do you reckon? And Mark says, I reckon that's a gift, Sarah. I'm getting a strong feeling that is as a gift for you.
Yeah.
And he said, so sit quietly and reach out to and say thank you to whoever left that gift. So I did that.
Okay.
I said, thank you to whoever's left this gift here. And I get this picture, this image in my mind of a huge Yowie ripping the head off this kangaroo, ripping the top half off this kangaroo.
Yeah, right.
And I said, thank you so much. Thank you for this gift.
Okay.
And the words came back into my head. Well, it was like the words, but sort of more of the feeling. It's a bit hard to describe sometimes. I got, no, thank you. And then I got hit with a wave of energy that went up my body. It was like a wave of love and gratitude and something, but it was just like this thing went up through my body, and it's hard to explain without.
So gratitude and love energy bursts through your body.
Yes. And so I was talking, well, actually Daryl the shaman was talking to my Yowie afterwards, and he confirmed that this was a gift for me and it had been set outside the farm gate so as not to frighten me too much. But it was a thank you because I had started talking about my Mindspeak experiences and my connection with Donnie Doolittle, and I had been talking about these beings like they were people. I was being respectful, and I was being talking about them as they really are. And they're not monsters, and they're not like beasts of the forest.
Correct.
They're people. They're intelligent,
An ancient person, an ancient culture.
ancient people. And so they were really happy that somebody was talking about them in a way that was really positive for a change, because they've really been demonized by Hollywood, by religion.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's face it. I'll cut Bigfoot some slack, even though I went on my rant earlier here in the show. I don't think they're evil, but you're right. Outside of the beef jerky commercial, if you watch any B movie on TV, it's Bigfoot ripping off somebody's head. It is, right?
Yeah.
They are the beast of the forest. I don't believe that today. I believe they have it in them. They could do it in an instant, but I think they're people, they're socialized society of individuals really that want nothing to do with us. Right? They don't care about me or you. I mean,
well, they do care.
They
but
care.
They don't want to hang out with us in general.
They care in the sense with yourself and others. They do care and have a warmth toward you, right? Because you have a great relationship. But also about you, Sarah, you have that vibe, that frequency that exudes that. Other people don't have that. If you're a hunter and you go in the forest and you want to find Bigfoot and you want to shoot it, or you just want to get that $1 million photo, the Bigfoot knows your intention, knows what you're all about. He's not going to befriend you. But if you're Sarah and you're out there and you just are in love with the idea of Bigfoot and what they're all about, and you have a genuine interest, they can sense that after a while. It might take some time, as it has, right? And then they'll show themselves or they'll communicate with you. It's not everybody. It's a gift that us as human beings have with these entities, these creatures, these beings, these Sasquatch, Yowie, right? They don't. The vast majority of human beings, not to get all on a big soapbox here, is the vast amount of human beings they want nothing to do with, but the ones that they can trust and they know that we are genuine in spirit, they will open up, much like they did and still do with First Nations folks.
Yeah.
Because according to most First Nations, they're protector of their land.
Yes. They want to help us in general. You're totally right. They don't like all of us, because a lot of us don't believe in them or actually mean them harm, and are out hunting them, and they don't like that. Like we wouldn't like being hunted either. They do want to help us though, and that's why they reached out. That's why my Donnie, why he reached out to me, because he's trying to bridge to have a better human Yowie relationship, and he thought that someone like me who can get the word out that they're not as bad as Hollywood makes them out to be, that this was a really good thing and this was really important, and that's why. I mean, I've since found out that he's actually been around me since I was born.
See,
that's another story. I did a past life hypnosis regression.
Oh yes, you know what, Sarah? I could talk with you until the crows come home. Everybody in the audience is saying, "Hey, we don't want part 2. We want 2. We had 3."
Oh, that's nice.
They love you.
If you invite me, I would love to be
The
back.
pirates love the matey from Australia. I love you too. It's such a great
I
show.
love you. I love being here too.
You're awesome. Hey, listen, really quickly, where can people find you? You got Yowie Central. The links are here in the show. Fidesz has been dropping it. What else would you like to leave the good people with where we can find you and everything?
I have, as of a couple of months ago, I have a brand new website, yowiecentral.com, and you can find all my episodes there, and you can find a
I
contact
have
form
that. Yes.
if you want to get in touch and share a story. You can do that too via my website. And you can also find the shows on all the major podcast platforms, all the same ones that you're on, Rob.
Yeah. So just there's we all know Spotify, Apple, whatever.
Apple, Google, Stitcher, all iTunes, all of those. You can find Yowie Central there.
And so yowiecentral.com, that's everything. I mean,
Mhm.
everything is right there. Because I
Right
have to
there.
drop
Everything is right
because
there.
that link is the one I'm using, and it's what
Yes.
Fidesz was dropping and a few other moderators.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
right.
awesome. I think I'm gonna be on I'm doing a recording with you too. What day is that? You gotta
Yes.
remind me. I'm going on
Yeah,
your
we're next
show.
week. I think we're going to have a chat next week.
Yeah.
It's not a live one though, so it might be a
Yeah,
few
well,
weeks
it's a
before we put that one
record.
into a
Yeah.
show. Yeah,
Well, that's fine. Just you're gonna have to remind me what time it is in the United States to
I'll
make sure
send
I'm
you. I'll
up.
send you a reminder. Don't
Well,
worry.
we'll talk. We'll talk before that. I always like second time you've been on the show. I can't. Time just flies because you and I have talked a lot throughout the years, just chit chatting on
Yes.
social media, on DMing, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't believe it's been the second time you've only been on. But
I
you know what?
know.
Isn't that weird?
Well,
That's
it's
so
quite a
weird.
long time because you had my old logo, and I've been using the new
Yeah,
one
I
for
did. You
a
said, "Oh my
while now. So,
god," you told me this story about that nightmare. What an idiot that guy is.
oh yeah, yeah, yes,
You gotta just leave it at that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll leave that one.
Thanks to everybody for coming in. Of course, subscribe if you're new. I want to thank Benno, Sarah
Aussies
Aussie
rule.
Rule. That's
Yep.
right. Benno, again, double dipping. Thank you so much, brother. Rob, time flies. Yes, when you're being chased by a Yowie. Quack, of course. I have some of the best guests. Well, thank you. I do. I gladly say that. Sarah's certainly one of them. And some Korean something from Brian, Sir Brian. Thanks, buddy. Hit that
Thanks.
like button, you guys.
Hmm.
Subscribe. Final thoughts before we kick it out?
Oh, thanks so much for all your lovely comments. I've been able to catch some of them. I'm going to watch again and I'll catch the rest of them. But you've got a beautiful audience, and they've been lovely, sending me really nice feedback.
I will tell you this. We had a little, I don't know what it was. I kind of investigated a little bit. We had something happen earlier, but we normally don't have that. My audience, and a lot of podcasters say this, but I have the greatest people in the chat room, and I have the greatest people that watch the show because there was up to 66 people in the chat room, which is pretty good. But we had 300. I'm looking right now. 392 people are watching live somewhere that don't
Oh
participate in chat,
wow,
but are watching.
that's a
A lot
big
of
number.
that's a pretty nice number, yeah, and I get that
Yeah.
typically in the 300s because a lot of people don't like to chat, but that's why I always tell them they're just as important as people in chat. You don't have to chat.
Hmm.
Tune in, watch, and watch the replay. That's how we grow. So I love everybody. I love the community we've built together, all of us, and out there in Australia, I like the community you got going. You got to be number one in Australia or close. I don't know.
I don't know. That's for other people to say.
That's why I'm saying it. Well, I tell you what, you're my favorite. How's that? Maybe
Oh,
not the
thank
biggest,
you.
but my favorite.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Hit that like button on your way out, everybody. Don't go nowhere, Sarah. I'll talk to you about a couple minutes and I'll catch you loose and stuff like that.
Cool.
So everybody, thank you so much. And I got the lovely Fidesz's extra that I'm going to play as we leave. Stick around and check that out. Bigfoot Fidesz, subscribe to her on YouTube because she is my video queen. That's right, she is. I just got to find it because I'm bad. I get so much stuff in my computer, Sarah. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. And I'll see you guys back Saturday night into the bazaar with Brandy. And we're out. I think we're out. I set this up differently. Oh, my God, Robert. Here we go.
Thanks for watching Bigfoot, Michigan, Rob, and beyond. Join the many, join the few. Tuesday night p.m. Eastern, the squad is complete. Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, we bring the heat. Saturday 11 p.m. Eastern, the fire is on, the hunt is on, the roar is strong. Hit subscribe, ring the bell.